All right, Damiani, it's been a minute, but you played Blue Protocol back at Summer Game Fest.
Yes.
And this is from Bandai Namco making it, but Amazon publishing?
Interesting.
Okay.
Amazon in those MMOs.
Yes,
snatching
they
them
are.
up left
Yeah,
and
they
right.
are.
That would be the
Embracing the MMOs.
Yeah. Careful. So what happened with Embracer? So, yeah, it's coming to PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox.
Nice.
As you can see from the visuals, it looked like from the very get-go a kind of like Tales of style MMORPG. In fact, when I was playing it, they played the intro opening for me. It literally looked like any one of the many like modern Tales of like anime intros.
Okay,
I think it was like literally the same artist team that did it. So very familiar for that, but doesn't quite play like a Tales game, being an MMORPG.
No Demon Fang?
I don't think there was Demon. Maybe there's nothing. No one said Demon Fang when they did that. We'll get into it. Like I didn't get to use every job, but the ones I did, they probably wouldn't have been the ones that would have used it. Let's get this out of the way. It probably brought a smile to Brad and Huber's face when I told them when I had this appointment and what that I was playing this in the way I had to play it. So I was forced to play this with mouse and keyboard.
Please.
It has controller support, but for the purpose of the demo, there was no controller support available. So a little bit of a struggle for me as I abhor mouse and keyboard controls, especially for movement and camera control. So probably made it a little bit harder on myself than it needed to be. So it's just a bummer because just future devs who are watching, if you got an MMO and like a Damiani plays MMO, if you don't have controller support and it's not available for the demo, put that in a note to Bloodworth, please, to be like, Damiani probably should not be invited to this because he's going to struggle with the controls and stuff for a while.
But also, I mean, it's on console, so it's kind of surprising they didn't have it.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
it's
for the
early stuff, so
Yeah.
it's it's obvious. I mean, I was able to get by, but I had to focus on things I normally would not have been focusing on if I just had like that nice dual analog camera and movement support. But anyway, getting that out of the way, they start with the character creator. And it had a lot of the usual things on there. We don't really need to spend too much time on it. I mean, they define it by like you start off like being masculine or feminine. That's how they're doing that. You have like all your usual body settings like height, frame. You have like hair options, colors. You can do two-tone skin options. For the eye options, you can have like the 4 colors in your eyes instead of just like 2.
Whoa.
Yeah, they had a weird thing they were doing with that. I mean, you have your nose, mouth, scars, paint, voices.
Gotta have some scars.
But on top of that, on top of like going into fully customizable, they will have some presets, like pre-made characters ready for you. If you just want to jump to something that looks like a little bit more what you're used to seeing, I guess. But there's a good variety, though, I felt like. So maybe not the most comprehensive, but it felt, considering Tales games are very curated, like you were playing as distinct characters, it was, different, kind of a nice, different experience. Like they had attire options, so you can change, like left side, all your left side stuff you could like change out to see how you'd look in like that gear as well. So the usual stuff. Then we got the classes. There will be 5 classes at the start. They all have shareable passive abilities between them, so that makes it a little bit easier to manage. And trendsetters here, Final Fantasy 14, you can change jobs at any time. Clarification: there's a town, or maybe there's multiple towns, but in the purpose of this demo, there was a town I had to go to. Once I was within its boundaries, I could just quickly change out the menu, change my job, and then go back out into the world. So it's not one character, one job. It's like one character, multiple jobs with their independent leveling systems. They're going away from traditional roles like DPS, tank, and healer for jobs. Like this job is not a DPS. This job is not a tank. This job is not a healer. Instead, you can take any one of the jobs and adjust their abilities to tailor a playstyle that might be more like a healer, more like a tank. So jobs aren't locked into a role. You can adjust them to become more like that role.
Like specking it, like WoW or something?
Yeah. There are mounts. They did a heavy emphasis on mounts, and it's like, every MMO has a mount.
Gotta have mounts.
Sounds like you're gonna get it pretty early. But yeah, okay. So the specific classes, there was the Blade Warden, melee class with sword. Literally, like looked like Paladin from 14. Each job has like 4 job specific skills. You have left mouse and right mouse. Left mouse was like the single target 1 2 3. Right mouse was like AOE 1 2.
Okay.
Then you had 1 2. Oh, it was on for the
Keyboard.
this build. Yeah, it was keyboard. It was like Q. ERC.
Oh, okay.
The standard
Like
for
4
your
abilities?
1 2 3
Okay.
4. Then you had 1 and 2 for these kind of like they call them echo skills. You have 2 of those, and then tab was your ultimate ability.
Oh.
And then you had like a healing. You could manually jump, and you had like healing pots as well that you could throw out there. So yeah, Blade Warden melee class. Didn't really get to mess around with them, but I did mess around with the Twin Striker, the melee axe class, like the warrior class. Spent the most time with them.
Done,
They had like
Damiani.
the war cry like ability where they buff their offensive, kind of to charge in there. They had like a big lunging attack. For kind of like, to like kind of close distance. They had a big like spin attack.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was like really fun to play that one. Then they had a Keen, Keen Strider. It's a archer basically. They called it a tech/range class, more of a support. But it had like healer abilities as well. Like you just target and AoE appears for most of their skills. They had the Spellweaver, a caster, kind of like a little bit like Black Mage, not really. I tried it out for a little bit. Wasn't really clicking, so I either switched over because they were kind of like, we only have so much time for the demo. I was like, let me just go with the melee class. Like it's 1 2 3, simple, easy,
Yeah, easy rotation.
And the last one they had was a foe breaker, which is a melee gun class that looked kind of cool. It wasn't really it was like more of like a mortar cannon looking gun. I mean, it was like a big rod thing with a giant like spear at the end for like melee hits, like bashing people and stuff.
Sick.
So it looked like way more like technical. So I was like, maybe I'll stick with something that's a little bit more in my wheelhouse. Yeah, and also for that switching jobs, like you open a map, click the spot to teleport, like easy teleportation, like pretty standard for that. We went over the abilities. Yeah, so they started out the demo by letting me go out and fight like some basic. There's like a training dummy and some like low level like sheep ram enemies just to get like acclimated to the movement and the skills. You do have a roll dodge. It was like on like a control.
Oh, okay.
Shift was sprint. Spacebar was jump. So you had all that. So it was like and like AoEs that come out, like you got to dodge them. Like the boss at one point was doing like an earthquake attack that just went out in like waves. You had to time your jump over them. Funny story. Someone who plays 14 a lot, they have a jump in 14, but you do not jump over mechanics. Jumping is super. There are platforming things for funsies, but to dodge mechanics, you cannot jump over mechanics. The game still registers you only like in a horizontal position, not vertical. So I've been trained for like 10 years. You can't jump over enemy stuff. Like it's pointless. You're still gonna run into it. So I'm like, I have a roll dodge, tails, iframes, or Souls games. Like I'm gonna roll. You gotta time my roll through this. No matter what I did, I kept getting hit by it. Finally, as soon as the guy came over to tell me, I'm like, you're gonna tell me I need to jump, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, I've just played a game that jumping doesn't do shit. So it's like, you probably thought I was like an idiot. Like, dude, why are you just like jumping over the enemy? I'm like, because you don't. I was
That's funny, dude.
So that was kind of funny. Yeah, there was like a dog-like creature I came across we went to a village, a lot of NPCs. Yeah, there's dog-like creature. You can pet the dog. They let you do that. Looks like that's where you're gonna be able to get like your quest and do like all your like shopping. They didn't go into any like gear system or like inventory. Like we didn't really get to mess with any of that.
Yeah.
Not even quests. But what we did do is after like, do you feel cool with the job? We're going to launch you into a dungeon now. So that was kind of like the end of the dungeon was literally running through a dungeon with a bunch of other the devs joined in with me. I think there was like 6 of us.
Wow.
So it was more. It wasn't just like the standard 4-party thing. And there was just like a bunch of remedial enemies. There were treasure chests. There were environmental hazards.
Cool.
There were exploding red barrels. But no friendly fire. No friendly fire. So you can just like kite the enemies over, get them all in a bunch, and bam, set it off, do a lot of damage. So that was kind of cool. And at the end, there was this like big boss. It was doing a bunch of AoEs. Like it had like the earthquake AoE, and then a lot of like telegraphed like on the ground AoEs as well that you just like roll out of. It had like a big like kind of dash attack with a wind up, so you having to use that like control dodge was pretty important.
Sick.
So it didn't feel overwhelming. Oh, and if you like, unlike other MMOs where if a single person dies, like you can do raise, you just walk up to somebody.
Oh, revive
and it's
them.
like it's like
Hold
that type
down-
of revive.
hold down
yeah,
E
you
or
just
whatever.
hold down something to revive them. And if they don't get to you in time, you just go to the spawn point and can run back in. As long as someone's alive, you don't wipe.
Oh,
which is
interesting.
like a little interesting. I'm sure there'll be fights that are like way harder where if you just too many people dies, it's gonna be like a spiral effect, snowball effect. You're just done.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were checkpoints in the dungeon as well, and there's destructible scaffolding as well. So yeah,
Knock it on people.
So I'm curious. It was like more like set dressing for that at this point. It didn't seem like it really impacted anything. Like no secret paths or collapsing on like someone's up there, it collapsed. Now we have to go a different path. So nothing like that. I mean, it was pretty fun to play. It
Yeah.
was very simple to get into.
I wanna try it.
I really would love to have try it with a controller because I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. But the fact that like I walked away, I was like, I'm still interested. I just give me a controller, please.
Nice.
So yeah, I think it's like something play for a little bit, try out, but long-term commitment. It's with anything, just
MMO,
depends on that support
Yep.
and that structure for this game. Unfortunately, I did not write down whether it's gonna like cost something or be free to play.
Yeah, I don't know what it is in Japan. I think this game's already out in Japan.
Yeah, so I
I'm not
believe it's
sure.
either out or about to come out in Japan. So we're waiting for the official Western release of this game. But yeah, it's you can see it's like I saw did see some of the menus and like looks like they got a lot of stuff in there, and it seems very traditional. A good mix of what you'd expect from basic MMOs and Tales of stuff like thrown together.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. Thank you everyone for watching. We are Easy Allies, and we just like checking out video games and covering them. So we have reviews and previews and different podcasts and live streams. So check all of that out. Be sure to like and subscribe and ring that bell here on YouTube. And consider becoming a monthly patron at patreon.com/easyallies because everything that we do is supported by our fans, by our viewers, and that's what we need to keep this thing running. Thank you, and we will see you soon.